Hello and welcome to the Ride Right Waxing Workshop. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing the Ride Right Waxing review. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Burton 2020 Step On binding and boots, the fitment, the fit of the boots, the fitment to the bindings to the actual board itself. What board are we going to be fitting it to today? We're going to be fitting it to a lovely Arbour Element 157 with parabolic rocker, grip tech technology on the side. I will do a separate review on this board, obviously both pre-ridden and obviously once I've ridden this in February. So let's get to it. Okay, so before we come on to fitment, accessories and bits and bobs around the boot itself, I just thought I'd quickly do a very quick video on the packaging. And most people would be like, why you've done a video on packaging? What Burton have done, as us as a consumer buying their products, they've actually turned the 2019 packaging, which was a big cardboard box which the boots came in, with a lovely graphic on Burton, absolutely stunning, seatbelt type material handle, but obviously it's disposable. It's not good for the environment, it's not good, obviously it's a waste of material. So most times they would go to a cheaper box and obviously that would be disposed. But what Burton have done, in my opinion, is actually made the packaging a lot better, more universal, more user-friendly, and obviously reduced massively on waste. Hugely on waste, because everybody who's going to use these or utilise it for something that they use day to day, be it not even on the ski slopes, taking it to work. The bindings themselves come in this little top bag. They sit in here, it's all thermo lined, it's all waterproof. You get the additional fixings for the rail system on the Burton board. You actually get the screws for the said fixings. You get a board to snowboard boot leash, which again, fantastic. Obviously, I think in America possibly this is mandated in some resorts. In Europe it is not, because obviously you don't have a binding per se. This is mandated in some resorts. In Europe it is not, because obviously you don't have a binding per se. So yeah, I think a really good setup. The nice thing with this is this amounts to what the boots came in, which is basically a rucksack. Again, great marketing material, great marketing ploy. They've got their branded logo, Burton Step On. This actual bag itself simply clicks around here, or you've got a board carrier. Again, such a clever touch. Whoever come up with that, 10 out of 10. Really good. So packaging for Burton, yeah, great move, really clever thinking. And again, saving the planet, saving waste, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, love that. Right, what we're going to quickly come on to now is making sure we can run through the fitment of the binding to the board. Okay, fitment for binding to snowboard. If you've fitted any snowboard bindings before in the past, it is very simple. It's exactly the same way. If you haven't, then you just got to make sure that if you're goofy or regular, depending on your stance, depending on how wide you like your stance, depending on how you like your angles, it depends if you're riding off-piste. If you're riding powder, you're going to offset that more to the back of the board. If you're going to be riding park, you kind of want a central because you're going to be riding switch. Again, it's completely and utterly your own choice and style and the way that you stand and what you feel comfortable with. That is massively important. So there is no right, there is no wrong. I'm just going to pop these undone in a second, and basically just in here we've got the 4 screws. You simply line up the angle degrees. I run a -15 +15 because I like to be able to ride switch if I can, or if you get caught in powder and you've got to switch around. My riding stance is then basically symmetrical. You simply line up the holes, you get your width, which is comfortable, and you just simply screw them in the board. Like I say, one thing I would just make sure that you do is make sure when you're buying the bindings, which you can get them from anywhere really, Snow and Rock, Absolute Snow, Snow Asylum, etc. There's lots of different places online that you can buy them. Make sure you buy the correct size binding with the correct size boot. They come obviously in 3 separate sizes. Those sizes vary from small, medium to large. For argument's sake, medium we have here is taking it from 8.5 up to 10 or 10.5. Which is a medium size. 11 to 13 is large. You've got to make sure you get a large binding with a large boot, medium binding with a medium boot, and small and small. and that applies through obviously the women's lineup as well. So yeah, again, super simple, easy to fit to the binding, to the board. Let's get on to the next bit. Okay, so let's start on the bindings. Burton Step On binding, very rigid in structure. We just quickly release this from the board. The binding itself, very sleek, extremely lightweight. What's really, really good with this is obviously you've lost the weight of the straps on the front. And basically how the boot will fix into this binding is through three fixings. You've got on the front here, you have an underlip, okay, which actually then will locate into this hook on the front of your boot. So when you push downwards, this lip here simply clicks straight over here. So holding the front two parts of your feet in place. On the rear of the binding, we have a mechanism, and just in here, we have a slot. How that basically works is you have a slot on the back of the boot, which is just here. Now this is slightly different for 2020 over the 2019 and 2018 versions. There's a new version of this, which is obviously on the later boot, which is slightly wider. You have an indentation just here, and you have an overclip just here. Now, the great part of that is you have a 2-click system. So on the back here, you have a thing which you can see there moving. Okay, and if we turn that round, we have the release mechanism. This device here will click either into the first hold, which is click 1. And that's the reason for that is if you get a build up of snow on the base of your binding and you can't click in because you're in powder, you get at least 1 click in. When you can then get to somewhere a little bit more firmer, you can actually then push down again even further once you clear the debris from underneath your foot, and you can click it to stage 2, which gives that ultimate fit and obviously purpose when trying to carve and ride on the slopes. And that is located into this slot here. You have a release handle just on the side here. Now this is a self-release, so it flicks back. So all you have to do is when riding up, unflick, that releases the mechanism inside, which releases the back of the boot, and then you twist your foot and you step out. And when you click in the back, and then you click in the front. And I'll demonstrate that in a second onto this binding just here with the boot we've got. So how would you fix this to your board? You have a base plate, like so, and you actually have a size measurement. I don't know if you can actually see this here. You have a size measurement in here with holes, and basically this top pad will adjust up and down the base of the binding, and you locate this into the size of foot that you are. So we have on this one a 10.5, a 9.5, a 9, and an 8.5. So the little lugs just at the top here will simply locate into that, making sure your base of your binding fits your boot to the size of your foot. And obviously reducing then and making sure that you have this set up correctly, because if you ride a size 8.5 and you've got it set to a 10.5, you're going to have a little bit more toe overhang, and obviously that will cause drag when riding on the slopes. But other than that, the actual structure of the binding I think is fantastic. It's ever so strong. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Mission binding, etc. That Burton actually do. But yeah, a very solid, well compact binding. You do have 2 adjustment screws just in the top up here, just there and there, and that's purely and simply to adjust the lean depending on your choice of riding. Not that bit, but this bit up the top just here. So it's actually this upper part, not the base part. The screws will come down and just adjust the front lean depending how much obviously lean you want against your boot and the back of your calf. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a really tidy, very clean setup. It's something that I'm going to ride for 2020. I'm quite intrigued to see how this feels. I've always been a strap person myself. I currently run flow bindings because I do like the quickness of getting in and out by sliding your foot in. So unfortunately I snowboard with a lot of skiers, and obviously time is always of the essence, and that is one of the main purpose that Burton have brought this out. It's just purely for speed. I'm not getting any younger neither, so the bending over in and out of the parks, etc. does take a toll on my back, a mission of age, unfortunately. But just in here, we have basically the 4 screw setup. And what I do quite like with Burton, I've set this up and I've actually put a little dot of paint on there for myself. is when you take this out, the actual screws themselves come with a slight bead of, I would call it glue, but mostly Loctite. So when you actually screw those into the board for your first time, it's just running down the edge there, you actually get real good purchase of the actual screw itself into the board so they don't come undone. But I would always recommend, as a ride right top tip, is to ride with a screwdriver device like this. This is a decaying one. You've got all your different fitments that screw in the end, just here, spanner, etc. Because if your bindings come loose, so you can obviously use this to tighten up. Now, most ski station, top of any lift, has obviously tools and bits and bobs, but obviously if you're caught in the backcountry, caught off piste, etc., or you're miles away from anywhere, then obviously these things do come in extremely handy, and they are ever so light. So definitely would be having one of those. So let's take a quick look at the boots. Okay, onto the boot. This Burton boot we have here, this is the Burton Photon. This has got the double boa system on, which is a really, really comfortable boot. I did have the Ion boot for 2019. Unfortunately, I never wore it. I bought it for 2019, but I've actually bought them in the summer, in the sale, thinking, right, I'll get ready for the 2020 season ahead of me. But unfortunately, I bought a half size too small. So I actually sold those on and bought the new 2020 versions, which is obviously what we've got here. Now, there is obviously what Burton have done for the 2020 version. They bought a lot more boots out. They bought a lot more colorways out, which is really, really cool. So bindings, you can have black like I've got here. You can have black and white, and you can have a zebra pattern. They do the women's bindings, which are grey and white or grey. And they obviously do kids bindings as well, which they, again, fantastic setup they've got. They've gone through the ruler, they've gone for the Photon, they've gone for the Ion. I think there's a new Swath boot. Obviously do correct me if that is incorrect. But yeah, they've bought a lot of boots out. So again, I've gone for the twin boa system Photon boot. Lovely, lovely boot, really, really comfy. I did actually switch from Burton to another brand, but I think Burton fit my feet the best, and they are so well made. Quite a rigid boot, quite a stiff boot, but yeah, just generally a really, really nice waterproof, very fit, very tight boot. The boa system is fantastic. You've got obviously the pull cord system. Let me just move the board just out of the way a second. We should go on to fitment in a minute. We've got the pull cord system, so obviously we've got a lovely flex, great inner liner. These are actually UK 9, US 10. So you pull the strap, you've got this lovely system where you would just simply pull and then you click in, and that just holds that in for when you're on the slopes. And that basically will hold the inner carcass into the boot. So let's just quickly jump onto this boot. Oops. We've got the inner carcass, which is just here. This is the inner sleeve, and that's basically what pulls that nice and tight. So that pulls it tight around your foot, and then you'd finish off with the boa system, which you simply just click in, and then you just simply twist, like so. Now this is a really, really good system, because this actually, one cord itself just is the top part of the boot, and the other cord tightens the lower part of the boot. And what I quite like with the Burton Step On, because you don't have the strap on the binding, they fitted this in. I think this is possibly for a placebo effect, but it does actually add a little bit more tightness and fit and feel to your boot itself. But you can wind this up, and it just gives that extra tension that the strap is around your foot. So for people coming from bindings, with straps over to the step-on setup, I think would be a bit more reassuring that you feel like your foot is in a strapped binding. Also does as a little bit more pull into your heel, into the back of the boot, making sure you reduce heel lift. But generically, I think it's a fantastic boot. It's a lovely, well-made boot. It's nice and light, it's not heavy, and that compounded with the bindings is such a good thing, because I've tried to go for lightness this year. So I've got a lovely, like I say, Arbour Element board. We've got a very, very light boot, and we have a fantastically light binding. So again, fatigue on your legs. I try to ride first lift to last lift when I go, because I'm not fortunate enough to unfortunately ride all year round or do a season. Obviously from where I live, obviously in England. So when I do go, I try to maximise every daylight hour. So these are all getting a very good workout. I will do a review in February when I'm out on the slopes of the Burton Step On, and obviously I'll be reviewing the board as well, so 2 separate reviews coming on that one. But let's see how these fix into the bindings. Okay, boot to binding. One thing I did just leave out, you have this lovely little clip at the back, and now this is a must. For all your salopettes and trousers, would recommend obviously clicking this in over your trouser, holding your trouser in place. And the reason for doing so, this then doesn't foul the clip. So when you're trying to locate it, you're not catching your bottom part of your salopettes into the clip, either damaging some expensive salopettes, causing a jamming, creating an issue then when trying to click in for speed, accessibility coming off of a lift. So yes, absolutely must. You must click your trousers into this. Okay, it may not look cool, it may not be hip and trendy, fair enough for those guys and girls out there that don't want to do it, but they've put it there for a purpose. And I think, like I say, if you ride them with some expensive salopettes, that's a must, because you'll only end up damaging them and jamming the system up. So yeah, absolute must. So let's get into the fitment of this. So if we try and spin this around a little bit, let's just move this boot. How this would click in, I'm just going to stand up. We've got the back part just here. We're going to click this into the back section, and it's as simple as, let's just tuck that in there. That click, you hear a click, 1, 2, and then you push on the front. There we go. 4 clicks in total for when you've got a solid base, no build up on snow, and that will actually hold that boot in there extremely tight. As you can see, that is not going anywhere. So first click was the back going into stage 1 that we spoke about earlier. Second click was taking it to stage 2. So pulling that heel into the board. You have no lift whatsoever now on this boot. No heel lift at all. The only heel lift you will get is through either poor fitment of the boot being wrong size, or not making sure you've got the ample tightness on your bindings, because heel lift you want to reduce as much as possible. And that's something that I really love about this. You are now 100% connected to the board. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the drive of this actual fitment relates to your performance when turning. Great other fitment at the front, 2 stages, 1, 2. That is now, again, brought your your toe onto that board. That is now become 100% connected with the binding, giving you ultimate fitment. And I do really, really like that. Again, I'm really intrigued to see how this actually feels and fits. So obviously all the strapping for the boot is simply done through the strapping on here, which holds your foot in. The boot itself is holded to here, so you're not actually relying on any straps at all. So yeah, a very clean, very tidy, very quick setup. Now, how you would release this is as simple as handle. You simply would just pull up, just like so. That releases the back, and then you twist. So let me just click that back in for you again, just in case we missed that on camera. I'm going to click this in, and go 1, 2. In we go. I'm just going to release this just over here. Let's just move that for there. We're going to release this, pull that up, lift, and we're going to twist. Boots out. It's as quick and simple as that. I'm going to spin that around so you can just see it from the back side. The reason I've left this actually attached to the board is purely and simply, it's very hard to do it when it's not attached to something. So we're going to click in. You'll see this little catch just here. Click in 2 stages, okay? So we'll do 1, you saw it click there. 2, that's engaged in the back, and obviously in the front, away we go. But to release, you use a handle, like so. That'll hold the handle up until you physically release it, and then it sets to go again, which is a great little feature. So, yes, all in all, a really, really great product. I'm really looking forward to riding this, obviously for the 2020 season, for the week or so that I do go out to the French Alps. If you've got any questions, you've got any, obviously, feedback, like I say, in my first review, so hopefully it's gone down well. If you want any more detail about the Impact 3 liner, the sole of the boot, etc., like I say, I'll be doing a review on the Arbour Element 157 board, talking about parabolic and the grip tech technology. I've picked this board like most people do, one for the rocker aspect, but two, I just love the grain wood on the top. It just looks unusual. It's like riding a tree down the middle of the snow. So, and when you do fall off, obviously it's easier to find. But no, I thank you very much indeed for watching the very first Ride Right Waxing review. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you're lovely and you would like to subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate that. If you hit that like button, and better still, if you can share this with friends and get them to do the same. I'm just trying to get my name out there. I actually do run Ride Right Waxing here in Devon, and obviously I wax skis and snowboards as a hobby / sideline of mine, and it's something that I'm passionate about massively. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you the next time.